Hello everyone, welcome to the channel for everything Arsenal and everything football. Thanks for being here. I hope you're all doing well. And there's a lot to discuss on this Friday night, We'll be covering a lot of different topics. As you can see on screen right now, we'll be covering yesterday's game between Arsenal and Crystal Palace. We'll be taking a look at Holding's new contract, our thoughts on it. Did he deserve it? Did he not deserve it? We'll also be taking a look at Balogun's Arsenal future. Will he stay? Will he leave? Nketiah came on yesterday. A lot of criticism. Is he good enough? Mustafi said to stay. Is he also good enough to stay? We'll be talking about all that. I have two guests with me right now, maybe a couple to come on later, but I'll start it off. So, how are you?
I'm good, Glenn. How's it going, bro? Thank you so much for having me here again.
No problem, man. And Callum, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me on. Got a lot to say,
yes,
like usual. But
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Awesome, and I have these two perfect guests to talk to me about it because I know Zohom's feelings on Nketiah, I know Callum's feelings on Bellerin, but we'll start with yesterday's game. In case anyone is in the chat, make sure you drop a like on the video, make sure you subscribe if you're new, and feel free to join in on the conversation. And we'll start on yesterday's game. Zohom 0-0 draw at Crystal Palace. Your thoughts on it?
Oh, man. Okay, so obviously when the team lineups came out, we were all tweeting about it. I think a lot of us were a bit surprised to see Mari and Kieran Tierney being left out of the squad. And immediately I went to check the Twitter page and I saw, the tweets about why they were left out. And apparently it was initially thought to be precautionary reasons. They don't want to strain anything. But obviously now we're hearing Pablo Mari is going to be missing for the next few matches. But looks like more recently, I think the news came out today as well that Kieran Tierney would be available as soon as even Newcastle. So I guess it's not as bad, but at the same time, immediately I think we all realized it was going to affect us in an expected kind of way. I mean, Kieran Tierney, he's our most consistent chance creator.
Yeah.
And he offers a natural width that really balances out what Aubameyang does, or even had Martinelli played, it would have really balanced out what Martinelli does in the way that he likes to cut inside. So thoughts on the game, I thought we played some good stuff, to be honest. Even with the midfield of Xhaka and Dani Ceballos, I thought we were passing it around with a lot of zip, a lot of intention. Aubameyang looked lively in the first half, maybe not so much in the second. And it was disappointing not to create more chances, but I guess it was expected, and it was something we talked about for such a long time, Glenn. When as far back as the summer, when we were talking about whether we should choose Houssam Aouar or Thomas Partey, for example, and which one we should prioritize. And obviously now, looking back at it, it's a lot. Hindsight, like everybody says, is always a beautiful thing, right? Because you look back at it now and you just think to yourself, Houssam Aouar would have added that necessary creativity, which I think is the biggest weakness right now of Arsenal's. And I think many people proved right. I think many people expected us not to be able to depend fully on someone like Emil Smith-Rowe and Bukayo Saka. They're young. They're not going to be consistent just because of their nature. They're young. They're going to give you a good performance here or there. They might string a few performances well, but at the end of the day, I didn't think we created enough, and we also got a bit lucky with some moments. But I thought at the same time we also defended really well, considering how dangerous Crystal Palace can be with Zaha, Eze, and them. Even when Ayew came on, I mean, he tried to create a few chances of his own, but ultimately I thought we competed well. And we competed with a midfield that, in my opinion, is mid-table quality. And we shared the spoils. So 0-0, I can't fault it. It's not something we're going to look back at for too long, and I don't think it's going to be a game we remember for too long, except for the one thing that stood out, I think, for every Arsenal fan out there, and hopefully for the board as well and the coaching staff, is that defensively we've been good. We've had shaky moments, but we fixed up our defense. We have good strikers. We just don't create enough good chances in anywhere near the required amount of regularity. So, yeah.
Yeah, Callum, you must have been okay with the squad. Okay, Tierney was out, so that was a damage, and Pablo Mari. But Niles coming in, Luis coming in. It's not that bad, is it?
No, when I saw the lineup, I instantly thought draw. I thought draw when I saw that team because for this whole season, Tierney's been our creative outlet. I think in all the players in the league, I think he's third of the most chances created. I think he's got 20 chances created this season, I think.
22.
So is it 22? Oh. So, I mean, I wasn't confident when he wasn't in the team. I thought we played well in the first half. This beginning of the second half, we played okay. We came out firing, but then it's like when a team defends properly, because this is the real test we've actually had. For the last 3 games in the league, we played Chelsea, a poor Chelsea side, in my opinion. They weren't firing that game. Do you know what I mean? Fair enough, we played well, but I don't think they played well. I mean, the 2 games after that, they wasn't top draw competition, bottom table. We come against a mid-table side, which we will nowadays, and we struggled on the offensive side. Maybe Tierney not being there, that was the reason, and maybe we relied too much on the kids. That's why I do think that we do need a number 10, just so Smith Rowe can learn off him. Because relying so much on kids, it puts too much pressure on them. Do you know what I mean? Because us as Arsenal fans, we want to obviously win every game, and we want our players to perform or at least give a decent level every single game. Do you know what I mean? And we can't put too much pressure on kids like that, because they need to develop at a steady rate. And they need to learn off people. They need to learn off more seasoned players in that position. Do you know what I mean? That's why I said a long time we should get Isco in that midfield. I think so, innit? Because he's an older player, seasoned. He's done it all. You know what I mean? He's done it all. He played for Real Madrid. And Smith Rowe can learn to play like that. Do you know what I mean? So I in that game, I think we on the offensive side, I think we went back to default. You know, look, we were like lackluster in the final third. I don't think we were good enough in the final third. Defensively, we're good, but yeah.
So to what Callum has said about Chelsea and also the Crystal Palace game. So for the Chelsea game, was it Arsenal that played well, or was it Chelsea that were poor? And for yesterday's game, is it Palace that defended well, or is it us that didn't have any attack at all?
Well, in regards to Chelsea, I thought we still played well. It's always a bit of both, isn't it? But at the same time, Chelsea, I mean, we kicked off their horrible run, right? Or rather, I don't know if we kicked it off, but at least we contributed heavily to that horrible run. But I think the main reason we played so well against Chelsea was the combination of players that we had in key areas in our team. I mean, we still had Kieran Tierney, who was running rings around guys like Reece James and them. And then at the same time, we had that counterbalance of Gabriel Martinelli drifting inside. And the thing is, the way, for example, someone like Gabriel Martinelli drifts inside is a lot better than how Aubameyang does it. It's a lot better than even how Maitland-Niles does it when he cuts in on his right, as when he's playing as left back. So against Crystal Palace, if you compare that game with, for example, the West Brom game, West Brom just don't have as much in attack as Crystal Palace. They don't have the quality players, proven Premier League players. But at the same time, they're not relegation battlers, at least not as bad as West Brom. And they have more solidity, and I think they have more of a foundation. I mean, these are players that have been playing under the same manager for a long time. West Brom is a bit, they're a bit in turmoil. But Crystal Palace, they played well, they defended well, they even attacked well. And I think we did that as well, except for the attacking part. Callum's right, we weren't very good in the attacking third. certain players come to mind. You know, Hector Bellerin was disappointing in the attacking third.
Yeah.
Pepe came on and wasn't good either. You know, he's just nowhere near consistent enough. I see some comments in the section already, in the comment section already. But Lowton is asking, when are we going to start calling Pepe a flop? By the way, and for example, the Pepe conversation, you know, when you have players that are in and out of games, and then, I mean, it's already bad enough, but then when you have too many of them, that's the worst case scenario. And I think Pepe and Aubameyang, for example, are in and out of games, but for different reasons. Aubameyang, you know, he's just not a high touch player. He's a low touch player. He likes getting the ball in behind and going one-on-one with a defender or one-on-one with a keeper. Pepe is a high touch player, but he's also very high risk, not much reward. that's just what he is right now. And when you compare that to someone like Bukayo Saka, you know, or even Gabriel Martinelli, they're high risk players, but they're also consistently higher reward than Nicola Pepe, for example. I mean, think about the Brighton game last season when we played Brighton and Pepe was starting on the right wing. He even scored a bit of a crazy goal, but you didn't see him taking on Burn as many times as he should have. And even when he did, he didn't do it well enough. Think about now Saka taking on that right winger role, and he took Burn for a run in our recent win against them 1-0. And, you know, he was dangerous. And that's just the difference, is that you get 10 opportunities to make a difference. Pepe does it 2 times out of 10 on average, I guess. I don't know. It's not an actual stat, but like, I'm just generalizing. And Saka would do it 6-7 times. Martinelli 6-7 times. They're just a lot better. And that's just something we're going to have to figure out. I mean, I don't know. I think defensively, like I said, we were solid. And Xhaka was a big reason for that. I mean, he did give the ball away and then have to tackle the ball to get it back. Those are some of his stats. That's just simple. As Dani Ceballos as well. Hector Bellerin. Just simple, strange, needless losses of possession that completely kill your fluidity in attack. They completely kill the intensity in your attack. And I mean, even someone like David Luiz am I the only one who was getting frustrated by how slow David Luiz was on the ball?
So slow, man.
Yeah.
So go ahead, finish first.
Yeah, so I just think we have a lot of players that played yesterday that I mean, we all know they're not our first team players. But there was too many of them. And I think Arteta could have made a few better decisions in regards to certain positional selections and whatnot. So I think we played well, just not good enough.
Yeah, I'll tell you one of those players. That guy on screen right now. I know many of you, including Callum, prefers Niles to Bellerin, but I always say I don't think he's by much better. I'm sorry. I actually don't think he's much better. Yesterday, so many, you can't tell me the reason why he couldn't pass the ball to the goalkeeper is because he's not comfortable playing on the left side. There's no way. Whether you're playing on the left or you're playing as a striker, you need to pass that ball well. And also on Bellerin, I know Callum said a few things about Bellerin since yesterday, but I don't think he was the worst player. He defended very well. The attacking, very, very poor and very frustrating. The poor crosses every time. If it was Tierney, he would have had some goals. The way he waits, the way he has to cut into his left and he has a chance to take on the defender, very frustrating. And Xhaka did okay yesterday. I don't think so. I think I saw DT giving him 8 in the player ratings. 8. I saw him giving so many needed fouls. The balls where he was clearing the balls is the one who had given it away anyway. He's lucky he didn't get a yellow card. He was very lucky. I don't think he got a yellow card. He was very lucky. So frustrating. Yes, he did have a good block on Zaha in the second half, but from his mistake, I thought he was average. I'd give him maybe a 5 or a 6 for yesterday because so many mistakes, so many balls given away. Bellerin annoying when he doesn't take on defenders when he needs to. Very, very annoying. So Callum, You talked about Bellerin earlier on. I heard you. So, what did you make of Bellerin yesterday?
I think he played better than some of the other players, but he shouldn't be in the team. He's not a good player. He's not. We need another right back because I don't know what it is with like, for example, on my stream there was a Graham. He's not here today, but yeah, I mean he loves Bellerin and he thinks he's a good player. I disagree. I think he's one of the worst right backs in the league, one of the worst. Because he can't go forward. Yeah, fair enough. Sometimes he's good defensively, yeah, but he's not. He can't even pass a 2-yard pass. He can't pass 2 yards. He can't use his left foot. Do you know what I mean? If we're playing, for example, a high pressure game where we have to win, we have to win, and do you know what I mean? He'll flop because he's done it so many times. You know what I mean? It's Palace, yeah, but I don't forget the 7 games we lost in a row where he was terrible, where they targeted our right side with holding the Bellerin. So I don't forget that, and just because he played well for a few games, don't pull the wool over my eyes. You know what I mean? I know he's gonna make a mistake where it's gonna cost us a goal in a game that we need to win, and that is why my biggest problem with Bellerin personally, because I don't think he's good enough.
You're not having it on him.
Yeah, I just want to comment on what he said. He's right. We have a lot of, I don't want to call them average players. Of course, players who play at that level, whether we like it or not, they're good players, but are they good enough? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Bellerin, like he said, he can't use his left. He can't dribble inside comfortably. Even when it comes to beating a man, the only reason he was so good at beating his man was because of his pace. And we've all seen the documentary. We all know what an injury can do to a knee injury can do to someone's pace. And it's affected him now. What I think with Xhaka, Bellerin, Dani Ceballos, David Luiz, these are players who are good at this stage in their career for varied reasons, different reasons for each one of them. They're not good enough for Arsenal. I mean, Xhaka, a lot of the times, a lot of people are giving him 8. I saw that rating and I was just like, nah. I mean, if we had a competent footballer, someone who can dribble with his left or right and can mix it up, do a skill here and there, find cute passes in between the line and try more ambitious things. Yeah, I mean, Xhaka, because of how limited he is, you won't see him receiving a ball under pressure in the way that, for example, Cesc Fabregas used to do. Remember how Cesc Fabregas would open up the whole pitch with just one touch?
Yeah.
That's not useful. Exactly. That's not useful because, it's not just flashy. It's actually useful in your build-up for your team because it gives you more time to find players. It gives you, when you have more time to find players, you have a better chance of executing a better pass. And Xhaka, Dani Ceballos, they're just never going to be it for Arsenal. Hector Bellerin, in my opinion, is someone we definitely need to improve upon. There was a stat I saw on The Athletic I think it was by The Athletic for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Now, defensively, we all know one of the best. They call him the Spider or Spider-Man or some shit like that. And it had this FIFA overall kind of thing. You know how FIFA gives overalls, right? So it had something similar, but just a bit more lifelike, more realistic. And it had one particular interesting stat. Progressive passes into the final third, not midfield, into the final third. I'd imagine Bellerin's would be quite low as well, because I just don't see enough guile. That guile, that incision, that cute passage of play that you need to link up, that we used to have. Bakary Sagna was primarily a defensive right back, but he could play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maitland-Niles, why he does better at right back, in my opinion, for example, is because a lot of the times he's put there for defensive responsibilities, not necessarily for his attacking qualities. By the way, I don't believe in Maitland-Niles' attacking qualities. I think he's too casual. I think he has too many lapses in concentration. I think he lets himself down a bit when he gets into those advanced areas. And it's just not good enough. I mean, he was good in the same way that Xhaka and Dani Ceballos were good in that FA Cup run. as a right wing back when we're trying to play on the counter, when it's easier to sit back and defend. All you have to do is be organized. That's not that hard to do. It's hard physically, but it's not that hard to do. And like Callum said, like Granit Xhaka and Dani Ceballos, they give the ball away, I think, just as much as they do something good in the attacking sense. Yeah. And the thing is, when you play Crystal Palace, you might not get punished as much. But when you play Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, United, Everton, Wolves, Leicester, you're going to get punished. Simple as.
Yeah. Where I don't agree with Callum is I don't think Bellerin is amongst the top 5 players who need to leave first. I thought Kolasinac was there. I thought Mustafi was there. Chambers, Ranasson too, and even Shaq. I think those 5 players are worse than him. I don't think he's the first one who should leave. I think 5 other players should leave before him. But yeah, he definitely needs to improve a lot because it seems that Tita really loves him. And that takes us to our second. Yeah.
Before you go on to the second one, I just want to state my opinion on Bellerin.
Yeah.
I think he's not necessarily. I agree with Callum, but I don't I agree with both of you to a certain extent. I definitely agree with Callum that we should be looking to improve on him.
Yeah.
Because you've seen the impact his counterpart has had on us. Imagine having some player who a right back who's just as productive as Kieran Tierney.
Yeah.
And can link up, can find passes. Because Kieran Tierney, by the way, it's not like he's, Marcelo at left back. He's not like doing all kinds of step overs and megging people all over the pitch. He's a basic footballer. He just uses his intelligence and his physicality. And he beats his man. He links up. He has cute passes. He has very good through passes. Inside, in between the fullback and the centre back, or even overlapping passes. I mean, you remember his pass to Aubameyang in the Man City semi-final in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one time. I just don't see Bellerin making that kind of pass. And if you have a right back who can put through someone like that, then you're just a lot more dangerous in another side of the pitch. So I definitely agree that he's someone we need to improve on, but not in the top 5, or maybe I'll be safe. I wouldn't say he's in the top 3 players that need to leave from our first 11.
And that takes us to our next topic of, are we too dependent on Kieran Tierney? I didn't know we were depending on him that much, because after the last 5 games, he was slowly becoming my best player at Arsenal. The way he was taking on players defensively, attacking-wise, very, very good. That goal against West Brom on his weaker foot, as you guys have said, Bellerin can't use his left foot. Tierney used his right foot. Niles yesterday saw him dribbling past 3 players, but the shot, very, very poor shot on his stronger foot. So now Tierney has a lot of things where he's better than those other players. And I realized it within the first 5 minutes when Niles gave away 3 balls and he put in a cross and it went way, way past the post. So Callum, how worried are you that you're depending too much on Tierney?
Well, like you said, I didn't realize how much we do depend on him when he was until he's gone. You know what I mean? He's the only player in our team, if Saka's not doing it, or other than Saka, or you know what I mean, that can beat a man. And he does it constantly through the whole game. You got beat a man across the ball, beat the man, and when you got Aubameyang on that left side with him, Aubameyang goes missing without Tierney there, because Tierney overlaps, he gets in the box and he plays across the ground, and Aubameyang will come in. Do you know what I mean? Like he did the other day when he scored. He's the same kind of goals that he scored last season. Across the box on the floor, slid. You know what I mean? So I think we rely on him too much, and we need to the players need to step up around him. You know what I mean? We can't do what we did last season with Aubameyang. We relied on Aubameyang so much, where we were scared if he ever got injured, we would have been screwed. And if he did, we would have won nothing last season. No FA Cup. See, he won that for us, Aubameyang, with his skill. You know what I mean? With his skill, with the finishing. I don't think no one could have finished the way he finished that last season. And we can't, if Tierney gets injured for long periods of time, especially with the run of games we got coming up now, the next 8 games, it's not going to look good. You know what I mean? It's because I don't think the players will step up. The base players that I always mention. Tierney brings life into this squad. He brings leadership. He brings, he brings the grit, the British grit. You know what I mean? That the squad needs. We need more Tierney all over the pitch, because we don't have them players that will grit and run. Even like I saw Tierney, I think it was against West Brom. Even when we were winning, he was at the end of the game, he was still sprinting, trying to get back and trying to tackle. And I'm like, what are you doing? We're winning. But he still does that. And all the rest of the players are strolling around because we won. We won 4-0 near the end of the game. But we need that around the whole pitch. And that's why, we rely on him. And we need players to step up big time. Big time, get on this level, at least a little bit.
So, Zoom, in the summer of 2019, when we were linked to Kieran, I was like, who is this guy? I'd not seen enough of him at Celtic and not watched him that much. So I was like, why are we being linked to him for over 4 months? Is he that good? Why are we not paying that money? Why are they asking for so much money? He came in with an injury. I was like, why are we signing a player with an injury? He came, played a few games, got another shoulder injury. We went again for a couple of months. And then last season, I didn't think last season he was that good when he came back until that pass for Aubameyang. I didn't really see much of him at the end of the season. So did you always think he was a good player?
Yeah, actually. So a lot of the times what happens with players that we're being linked with is I have to go on YouTube, and yeah, it's YouTube scouting. It's not 100% record. I was really happy about Pepe, but obviously disappointing. But there's things you can see, things that you can pick out, that you can only hope will be on display consistently. And I think the way he overlaps, first of all, it's not just the fact that, he can run with the ball at pace, but also the timing of his runs are so crucial. And the timing also has a lot to do with his positioning. And for example, at some point, apparently I saw it on Twitter, you could hear Arteta shouting across in the first half, shouting across from the touchline over to Maitland-Niles, higher Ainsley, higher, like be in a higher position. For example, I think if you put Bukayo Saka in that position, he would have naturally been in a higher position, right? If he played at left back. But KT offers that intelligence. He's a pure left back. He still tucks his shirt in. We all know it. He's a pure left back, and I think what he offers is that natural width, and at the same time that compatible balance of wide forwards who are right-footed and light cutting in. So when you play with Granit Xhaka as well in midfield, he's left-footed and he likes to spray the pass. It only makes sense that he sprays it to Kieran Tierney. But now if he's spraying it to a right-footed player, that player would most likely control it with his right foot, and that kills off the move, or it slows it down quite a bit. So Kieran Tierney, I completely understand why we're dependent on him. I think I'd like to believe that it's just Arteta making do with what he has, because of the quality that shows in training. I think his quality shines in training and shines on the pitch. So what I'm really enjoying about Kieran Tierney is we're seeing more incision. We're seeing more cuteness. He doesn't just get the ball in and whip it in like basic Premier League fullbacks. I don't know, maybe like Van Aanholt, for example, for Crystal Palace. But he's intelligent. He can cut it back, he can whip it in, and the quality of his crosses are fantastic. And the thing is, he can make runs. We've seen it now. We know that he can dribble past defenders dangerously in the box as well. Kieran Tierney, if we're depending on him, I think he's the kind of quality fullback that many teams around us as well would be dependent on him too. But yeah, I just think it's not a bad thing that we're dependent on him, considering what we have in our squad. We just have a lot of mediocrity, and we're maximizing on our highest quality players, and we're playing through them. It only makes sense to do that. So play through Bukayo Saka. Try and get Emil Smith-Rowe on the ball. If Martinelli's on the pitch, get the ball to him, because they're dangerous, and they're consistently more dangerous than guys like Xhaka, Ceballos, and whatnot. And Callum raised a very, very good point about Aubameyang, for example. We're too reliant on someone like Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And when you're too reliant on him, and also you don't have midfielders or other forwards who are consistently contributing, you're going to have a massive problem. So the fact that this guy is coming in with assists and, he's creating chances, that's because our midfielders just aren't good at creating chances. They're just not good at scoring goals. So the fact that we're dependent on them, I think, is some sort of plan B from Arteta. It has to be.
Yeah. Callum, what's his best trait? Which attribute do you enjoy most in Tierney? Is it the defensive style? Is it the positioning? Is it the attacking? Is it the taking on of players?
It's when he's attacking. He's so effort. He can go past anyone. He's got such a.
Yeah.
He's quite fast as well. To be honest with you, do you know what I mean? He could be anyone and pick out the perfect cross that will find a man. Do you know what I mean? And my problem is that he's a fullback, and we rely on him to be on offensive. Do you understand? When with the likes of Aubameyang and Lacazette are meant to be our forward players, and you know what I mean. But we rely on Tierney, that's my problem. Do you know what I mean? I'm touching your point as well about the midfielders. You know, obviously our midfielders are not good enough, and that's why we rely on him too much. And his running off the ball and his intelligence, they get him behind, is second to none. You know what I mean? You just look at the stats. He's unreal. I love Tierney, man. He's unreal, man.
I just want to say, Callum's right. If Tierney was playing for Liverpool right now, or even Man City, he'd be getting bare assists. He'd be creating way more chances. And honestly, his defensive contribution would be appreciated a bit more. But at the same time, we're a team that's struggling at this point in time. We're not functional. We're not cohesive. And even his efforts will be affected. So I think he's such a well-rounded fullback, and Callum is right. He can take on literally anyone. Reece James is one of the strongest and fastest fullbacks in the game, but he turned him inside out, not just once, like 3-4 times in that Chelsea game. He owned him. He put him in his pocket. So I just think it's not necessarily a tactic that Arteta would employ should we have creative midfielders. It's a tactic that we're employing right now because we don't have enough quality down the middle. So we're focusing on our strengths. And those are our strengths. We just have to accept them for now. And hopefully he comes back as soon as possible because he's an asset and a half.
Yeah, Callum, last question on Tierney. Where do you place him in the best left backs in the league? Robertson and Chilwell better than him, or is he better than Chilwell?
I think he's like second to Robertson. But you can't, like, if you put Tierney in Liverpool's team, like you said, he'll be creating much more assists with the quality he's got. You know what I mean? Mane, the Salahs, the Flaminos. You know what I mean? He'll be creating so much more assists. So I think he'd be up there with Robertson, probably, as you know what I mean. So I think he's on joint with Robertson at the top left backs in the league. To how much he creates.
I find it so funny that Scotland is not that good of a footballing country, but they have the best two left backs in the Premier League. It's so funny. So another player who played yesterday. The next topic is going to be Holding's new contract. Did he deserve it? How did he play yesterday?
Glenn.
Yeah.
Wait. I just wanted to add something about the Crystal Palace game. I thought that, if Kieran Tierney wasn't available,
Saka
wish Arteta. Yeah, Saka should have played left back. It just would have been more natural. And then Pepe to play at right wing, but maybe he hasn't done enough to deserve that call up. But I don't know. I just thought it would have been the more sensible thing to do. I know Maitland-Niles has performed decently enough in previous times in that position, especially, but I don't know. That's my biggest regret from that game. I think if Saka was picking up the ball, and we all know Saka has an amazing cross on him as well. I mean, a lot of Nketiah's goals come from Saka, so all 7 or something of them, whatever. The point is, Saka would have been a better fit. Yeah, so we can go on to Robo. Yeah.
But people would have been calling for Arteta's head. Why did you remove Saka from the right wing when he's been playing well? Right now, I don't think he's in a position to change things too much because I know if it doesn't work, he's in big trouble. So Holding.
Nah, but wait. Just to comment on that, I would not like to have a manager who feels fear when he wants to make a decision.
He don't like fear.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want any kind of manager to feel some sort of fear. He just, in my opinion, he just put in he just made the wrong decision there, and that's something he's going to learn from. That's something we're
Yeah.
learning more and more about the squad and the players as we go along, because at the same time we're evolving as a team and as a club. So yeah.
So Holding is one of those players who have not been dropped since the likes of Luis and Gabriel returned, and I signed a new contract. I'm not quite sure how long the contract is, but soon did he deserve it?
Yeah, I think he did. To be honest, I'm actually quite happy with it. I'm honestly, I was, I'm very comfortable with it because, in my opinion, I feel like he's grown so much,
Yeah.
and he's shown that he can be part of this squad that Arteta wants to build. He can be part of the way uh, Arteta wants to play. He wasn't known for being so good on the ball, right? But more recently, we've seen him, do keepy uppies in the middle of the pitch, lob it over pressing strikers. So I think he's been playing really well. He's been solid. He brings in that grit that Callum talks about, that British grit, last ditch defending with a slide tackle. And he makes up for any frailties or any weaknesses in the pitch in those moments. So if if you have him with Gabriel, Pablo Mari, William Saliba coming back, then I think you have a good core. He might not make the squad. He might not even be in the first 11 when we start next season, but he's at least a very, very good squad option.
Yeah, Callum, I know you're not a fan of Holding, so did he deserve it?
No, I don't think he did deserve it. I think he played well for the last 4 games, but the 7 that we've lost in a row, he was terrible. He was always caught out. You know what I mean? He was out of position all the time. You know what I mean? He was scared to make a challenge. I remember he was on Grealish. He was standing off Grealish for felt like an eternity to me. And then all of a sudden he's in. Grealish has played one of the, you know what I mean? I don't think he's good enough. He's let us down too many times for me to say 4 games and he gets a contract. More money. Is that what this? This is what winds me up about this club, is that a player plays well for a few games and then he deserves a new contract at this club. You know what I mean? A lot of fans have been saying that all these Wenger players, a lot of fans have said it, Wenger players need to get rid of these Wenger players, this mentality, like I've said as well. I've said that we need to get rid of these mentality. And he's part of the mentality that have shaped us for so many years. Do you know what I mean? When we lost, when we got battered at Baku against Chelsea, who was in that squad? Holding. You know what I mean? Bellerin. Like the players I keep telling people about, and he should leave. He needs to leave, or at least not be in the starting 11.
I agree that he shouldn't be. He shouldn't be in the starting 11 for me. But so is he in the starting 11 because everyone else is terrible?
No, I genuinely look. I agree with you guys that he's not the best center back on the market. Okay, but I don't think that he's been given a contract because of 4, 5, 6, 7 games. I think he's been playing well since last season. I know he was part of the squad that was slapped 4-1 in Baku, but that was under a different manager, and I think under different managers, players react differently. And I honestly think he's improved. His passing is improved. His positioning is improved. He makes so many interceptions, so many clearances. He's, like I said, he's a good passer of the ball. He actually breaks through midfield and forward lines. I think he's been playing well, but I still don't think he's going to be our starting centre back. I think the deal is to protect his value, and then in a couple of years, we're probably still going to sign an extra centre back. I mean, we're losing so many centre backs. I think we're going to sign an extra centre back. We have this Omar Rekik guy that we just signed. William Saliba is going to come back from loan, and I think it's going to be a really healthy level of competition of players that are on similar levels, but each player with a different kind of ceiling in terms of potential. So I think a 2-year, it's until 2024, right? So that's about
2025, I think. Pretty sure.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Well, I think I think that protects his value, and he's English. He's 25, so we're going into a period with him where it's almost like he's going to prove whether or not he's going to be at Arsenal for a longer period of time. Because if he does fail to meet the standards set by Arteta, and what he expects of his squad in the next couple of years or even 3 years, then I think he's going to have a good resale value. And I think it's overall a good deal, because I don't think we should be signing another centre back. I'm tired of centre backs. Our main issue and our main priority is midfield. We need to get a new midfield. Danny Ceballos is going to leave at the end of the season. Granit Xhaka shouldn't stay at the club. Mohamed El Neni, and bless him, he loves the club. He's been a loyal servant. He doesn't make any fuss about not being started. I think he realizes he's a squad player more than anything else. And if he's probably also going to leave. Joe Willock is not a player that should stay at Arsenal, in my opinion. So we need a whole new midfield. I don't think we need more defenders. I think we need a whole new midfield. So
what's the saying on Holding? I'm sorry he didn't.
He didn't. I'm sorry he didn't cost 2.5. I'm sorry he didn't cost 50 million, Callum. But there you go.
Yeah, I think you still need defenders. I know what you're saying, but I still think you need defenders. But maybe we don't need defenders because Arteta said Shkodran Mustafi is going to stay. Maybe that is why we don't need defenders. So Mustafi is here to stay. The legend himself is staying at Arsenal until at least the end of the season. What is your feeling after you heard that, Callum?
I have a feeling he's going to bloody sign a new contract or something ridiculous. It's going to wind me up. It's going to wind me up. I swear to God. I've had enough of these players, man. I've had enough of seeing them. I've had enough of them. He's going to sign a new contract for another 3 years or something ridiculous like that. He's going to be on mad wage, even more wages than he's on. And then we're not going to be able to sell him again. Like, we've got the problem with Socrates saying that he wants to go to, he's not picking what club he goes to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jesus.
So what do you think Arteta is telling him in that picture?
You're great. You're not as bad as anybody ever makes it out to be. It was definitely Bernd Leno's fault for not coming to get the ball versus Crystal Palace at home. It wasn't your fault, bro. You got
Don't
this.
forget
You're
the
a World
important
Cup
one.
winner.
Exactly. I wanted you to say that. You're a World Cup winner.
Look, I think
winner.
I don't believe that he's gonna stay. Honestly, I don't. I know Arteta said he's gonna stay, but I think the situation we find ourselves in with COVID, with the fixture congestion, I think he's gonna stay until the end of the season and then leave. I don't think he's gonna stay beyond that. I know the thing is, what does worry me a little bit, and I understand why it worries Callum quite a bit. I think last year around October, weren't we apparently offering Mustafi a contract extension?
Yeah, we would. I think we would.
So I think it's just rumors. I'm usually on the fence with many rumors, unless you know for sure they're trustworthy. But Shkodran Mustafi, I know Arteta came out and said that he's going to stay, but I think that's mostly down to Arteta's planning with the squad and backup plans and backup plans. I mean, you saw David Luiz. You can't necessarily go and choose David Luiz over Mustafi. That's really being stuck between a rock and a hard place. So it's just a matter of options with everything that's happening around us, the fixture congestion. I think it's just he's probably just a blanket safety net for us.
I'll tell you what I love most about Mustafi. When Shaka like one fan comments something bad on his posts on Instagram and he gets wind up. He's like, this Arsenal fans, when he performs well one game, is like, these Arsenal fans are not talking now. Mustafi doesn't care, man. I only see Mustafi writing some captions on his Instagram. He does not care. Whether he gives away the ball, is there dancing. He does not care what you guys say. He knows he's going to stay. He's just such a funny guy. So would you sell him right now, Callum?
Yes. I'd sell him right now.
But who would buy him?
I don't know. Pay him off. Pay off his contract. We're doing the same with Ozo, it looks like. So do the same with Mustafi, man. I've had enough of these. I've had enough of them. Thinking that they're bigger than the club. Thinking that, do you know what I mean? I've had enough of these players. They think they're the bollocks. Just because they're on 100 grand a week. Do you know what I mean? Allow it, man. Just get rid of him. I've had enough now. When I saw that, it actually did wind me up because it was like when when Shaka, they said that Xhaka threw the armband on the floor and disrespected the club, yeah? And then Arteta comes in and says he's staying. No, get him out of the club. He threw the armband on the floor. Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing. That's why I know Mustafi's going to stay. I know it. I know what Arteta's like. He's done it with Bellerin. He kept him in the squad through him playing crap for fucking most of the season. And now he's keeping Xhaka in the team. You know what I mean? He's going to do the same with Mustafi. And he'll probably play in the first team next year when Holding gets injured. Because Holding will probably play as well in the first team.
This is Mustafi when he hears what Callum has to say. He does not care. He's out there dancing again. He does not. Look at Mustafi. I like the way he usually, he's such a funny guy. Mustafi is such a legend. He should not leave us. On the pitch, he always looks so serious. But those mistakes are too many. I think he's made too many mistakes. So, Zoom, you okay with him staying until the end of the season, help us in the Europa League and stuff?
Yeah, I don't mind, but obviously, once we get into the latter stages of the Europa League, that's when I feel like he should not feature anymore, because those are going to be high pressure games. And for example, I think actually versus Benfica he shouldn't start. I don't care about squad rotation. Benfica is a team of ballers. You know how those Portuguese players can be, man. So Shkodran Mustafi definitely should leave. If Arteta keeps him, that's a big red flag on him as a manager. That's a big red flag, because that's what you want to see from your managers, right, Callum? You want to see decisions that make sense. You don't want to see decisions that don't make sense, because they need to be logical. They need to be justified. If he's talking about the non-negotiables, if he's talking about our club having a meritocracy, then make sure you back up your words with actual, with proper follow-up. Like, you can't just allow people to make certain kinds of mistakes and then they feature again. Willian going off to Dubai, and then I know they say they handled it, but and then he plays. No, it can't be that. It can't be like that.
So give Willian time. He's still young. He's still trying to adapt to English football. Give him time. Give him time. The next one, when Martinelli comes in the game, and you feel a bit of confidence, like, let's see what he can do. When Saka comes on, you're like, he can change something. Smith Rowe against Newcastle last weekend in the FA Cup, he came in. You started feeling more confident about the game now. I'll tell you one youngster that I really feel bad for. I know, Zohumi, don't like him. So yesterday, when Lacazette went off, this guy came in and instantly just went to check the watch-alongs on YouTube to see people's reaction. And people are like, Lacazette out, Nketiah in. Nah, I don't like that sub. So are we already judging him before he comes in, or are we being too harsh on him, or is he just not good enough?
He's rubbish. Sorry. He's rubbish. He's rubbish. He can't score in a brothel. Do you know what I mean? He's rubbish. And I would not. You know what I mean? He needs to. Why the hell is Arteta bringing him on? Who are top scorer this season, like I said, why the hell is he bringing on Eddie? He might as well bring on Willian, because he's not gonna score nothing. Do you know what I mean? It took any hope of us scoring. It took it out of me, when he came on, because I'm like, I'm just sitting there now, like, we're not gonna score. It's gonna be a draw, or they're gonna nick it right at the end of the game. You know what I mean? That's what I thought was gonna happen. Luckily, a draw and it wasn't worse. But Jesus Christ, man, he needs to get rid, man. He's English. Get rid of him for 20 million. Get some money off him. Jesus.
Zoom, I know you don't like him, but surely you're being too harsh. Try not to mention the other striker when you're talking about Nketiah. Will come to him, but I mean, come on. He's not even come on the pitch and people are already like, nah, get him off already.
Well, that's because he doesn't offer anything in attack versus a low block. He might be good in a counter-attacking team, in that, he's also a pacey striker and he likes pressing and whatnot. But we're not supposed to be a counter-attacking team. We're not supposed to be a defensive team. We're trying to move away from that. The only reason we took that role, or applied those tactics, was because Arteta realized this is the best thing he could do with the squad at the time. And now we're trying to evolve. Nketiah isn't isn't that person. He's not good on the ball. He can't link up. He can't even play 1-2s. And when he does get those chances, he doesn't do much with them. He doesn't do much with them. There's no conviction. There's no proper technique in the way that he kicks the ball. You don't see any intelligence in the way that he plays. And I mean, look at Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka is 19, but he looks a lot more mature, a lot more gifted, and a lot more intelligent than Eddie Nketiah. Compare that with Gabriel Martinelli, who came from fourth division regional leagues in Brazil. That wasn't even proper football. Like, that was like, you know what I mean? It's just not good enough. This guy's been at Arsenal, and he just gives me like poor man's Welbeck vibes. He really does.
Poor man's Welbeck.
Honestly.
So you'd get rid of him in the first 3 players in the top 5 that you're talking about?
Okay, not in the top 5, not top 3, top 5. Because he's just not good, man. I keep going back to that West Brom second goal, that amazing team goal. He doesn't give that pass back to Emil Smith-Rowe. And the thing is, I think he's so poor that Emil Smith-Rowe probably wouldn't make a run because he doesn't trust him to give that pass.
I wouldn't trust
Come
anything.
on.
I'm serious.
I mean, against Southampton, and Aubameyang scored his last open play. Who gave him that pass?
He gave that pass, yeah, okay, but the Lacazette one was a lot more difficult to give, and it's just not good enough, man. I'm telling you, he doesn't show any sign of intelligence. He doesn't show any sign of real technical ability and quality. Have you seen him beat a man? Have you seen him beat one man in his whole career?
Nope.
No.
Have you seen him?
Nope.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a time he was played on the wing, and I was like, nah, Nketiah is not that kind of player to play him on the wing. I think it was in the Europa League somewhere.
He's not even the type of player to play up front, let alone on the wing.
Yeah.
He should have been on the pitch.
Exactly. Listen, there was a reason he was recalled from loan, from his loan at Leeds. He only played once, I think, or he only scored once, I think. In the championship. And why is that? Why is that? Because at that level, Marcelo Bielsa decided, nah, this guy's not giving me enough off the ball. Look at what Patrick Bamford does. Yeah, he's not the most clinical striker, but he links play very well. I mean, the same could be said of Lacazette, no?
Yeah, but I think it's also another reason is we always bring him in when we are 3-1 down. We want him to change the game. I think we should have been bringing these young players when you're 2-0 ahead, 3-0, so that there's not that much pressure on them. Right now, you're also adding the pressure on him. People already don't like him when you're bringing him in when you're losing the game or drawing the game 0-0. It's too much pressure on him. So the question on him, when that sentiment says, I do not mind Eddie, he should go out on loan. So Zoom, would you loan him out or sell him?
I mean, I think putting him out on loan just delays the inevitable, mate. I think it just delays the inevitable. I think he goes out on loan. Most likely what's going to happen, people are going to realize he's not that good. And he's just one of the products from the academy that weren't good enough. I guess there weren't enough coaches watching, or whoever our coaches were that decided this kid was good enough. I mean, it's ridiculous.
The other drinks that day.
Yeah. So
Callum, sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, I think I'd sell him. My preference is to sell him. He does not represent what this football club needs. When I look at other clubs and what they have, I mean, look at Mason Greenwood. You see actual pure brilliance. You see Phil Foden, brilliance. There's just so many youngsters in and around the Premier League and in other parts of the world at his age or even younger that are just so much better. So why are we settling for less?
Yeah. Why always judge the likes of Niles and Nketiah? They were here a long time ago, and the likes of Saka have come and overtaken them. Martinelli has come and overtaken them. Smith-Rowe has come and overtaken them. That's why I always feel bad for them. Lewis says that he's a fox in the box. Callum, is Nketiah like an Inzaghi, a fox in the box?
Jesus Christ. He's no fox in the box, that's for sure. Jesus. I don't know what he is. What is he? What type of player is he? What kind of striker is he? I don't understand. He can't hold the ball up. He don't make runs. He's missing. At least with Bellerin, when it comes to Bellerin, at least he does something. Do you know what I mean? You could say he does something. With Eddie, no one can say he does anything. Why does everyone love him off? Why does Arteta love him? He's not he's his second son. Bellerin's his first. Eddie's his second, because it seems like it. Go on, son.
Oh,
we
God.
need a goal. Come on, throw him on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, we might as well have brought Willian on. Because at least with Willian, he's been shit this season, but he's done it at one stage in his career. Eddie's never done it ever in his career, and I don't think he ever will. Do you know what I mean? He'll probably be lucky to make it to fucking Sheffield United in this Premier League. Do you know what I mean? And then definitely championship level. Level. Low, mid-table championship. Not even up there. You get the Premier. I really think he's one of them players, that Willock, who are clueless and have no football brain, and they're not good enough, man. So get rid.
So we could actually keep him and get rid of the next guy in the next topic, Balogun. What are your thoughts on that? Balogun leaving and Nketiah staying. I mean, to be fair, I don't know how many people have watched under 21s and under 23s football, but I feel like people are like talking so good about Balogun because they've seen him play for 10 minutes.
Well, I mean, I turn on my post notifications for Arsenal, so I see their highlights in the under 23s and whatnot, and what I see is at least, sure, he's raw, sure, he's young, but he's got that technical ability and that football intelligence. He has a and make runs in behind.
Take it from that, Carl.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think that everyone that has raves about him is ridiculous, because we have never seen him play properly. We've never seen him play in the Premier League. He could play in the Premier League and be rubbish. If Eddie didn't play in the Premier, play in the league, and we didn't see much of him, we would think he's a good player because of his exploits in the national team. Top scorer in the under 21s and that. Yeah, we would think he's a good player. Do you know what I mean? Balogun could play for us and be terrible. Do you know what I mean? He could be the same as Eddie, go quiet in games. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Fair enough, he did look good, but I haven't seen much of him to make any opinion on him. Do you know what I mean? You can see, like when we bought Pepe looked $1 million in France. It comes to Arsenal, he's crap. Balogun looks $1 million in the under 21s, but he could come to the Arsenal first team and look worse than Eddie. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know. I think.
Am I back? Can you guys hear me? All right. So my opinion on Balogun is the little that I've seen from the under 23 games and from his Europa League exploits. He shows an idea. You can see the kid has the right ideas. So I just feel like Balogun surely has a higher ceiling than Eddie Nketiah. So if we were to choose between them, I definitely choose Balogun. Obviously, it's complicated because this guy wants a bit more game time than we're willing to offer. And at the same time, we have Lacazette, we have Eddie Nketiah, who is also represented by the same agent as Folarin Balogun, so it complicates the issue. But if those rumors about West Ham looking for a striker and maybe even feeling around Arsenal for Nketiah were true, then in my opinion, we should have sold him, or we should be selling him and guarantee Balogun more of his game time. But like I said, like Callum's right in that we shouldn't get too carried away. Arsenal fans have like some form of PTSD that any player who leaves us will come back, will be in a Champions League team, beat us in the group stages, and then go on to win the Champions League. Like, not every player is going to be Serge Gnabry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I like the way you specify that.
Yeah. So it's like we don't need to worry about such players. If they won't commit their future, we shouldn't be held at ransom. And Arteta and Edu and the board, they shouldn't be held at ransom either, especially not by some kid who still has to prove himself. Especially, so I'm not going to lose any sleep if Balogun leaves and we still stay with Eddie Nketiah. I think we still need to improve on our striking options because Lacazette's probably going to leave in the summer. So I'm not overly bothered with Balogun not extending his contract. And if he doesn't, so be it.
How about you, Callum?
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm not gonna. He's trying to, like I said, even the young kids are taking the piss, thinking that they're bigger than us, bigger than the club. you know what I mean? It's not just our older players now; it's our young players. And I've had enough of players doing this. If he was to take the mick, get out of the door. I don't care. I don't care. You know what I mean? I care about Arsenal. I want Arsenal to do well. I mean, I love Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? If you leave and you want to take the mick, you're taking the piss out of something I love. You better get out and I'll kick you out the door. Do you know what I mean? I'll kick you out the door because he's not bigger than Arsenal. No one is. Arsenal's one of the biggest clubs in the world. So get him out. I'd say if he wants to leave, get out. I don't care. Doesn't, you know what I mean, me.
We've covered all the topics we're supposed to cover in the perfect one now. Thank you, guys. So just a couple of more. Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
AOB. I wanted to quickly discuss the Garlic. Is that his name? Garlic? The Garlic appointment? Yeah. So I think that's more of another sign that the board has finally sort of like woken up and is trying to change the way it operates. It's not being as hands off as it was before. So the fact that, first of all, he's got hella experience in the Premier League and, imagine being like, you bringing in the director of football of the Premier League. I mean, he's going to have all kinds of connections. He's going to understand how the transfers go. And hopefully he comes in and he does better than what Husfami did. Because Husfami was part of the previous regime and that was utter shite. So, I think that's another sign. We'll see how he gets on. I don't think we're going to see his impact. We're not going to feel his impact anytime soon, but it's another ray of hope, I think, that maybe the board is trying to change the way it's moving. Remember, Atletico didn't expect us to put in 45M. You know, they're still in shock. They're still reeling. They're still thinking about how to get the best out of Lucas Torreira. So, so I think hopefully that's a good sign, but only time will tell.
I'm really hoping. We've been taken through this saga so many times and I usually don't enjoy it. You know my feelings on the business of football. I want them to deal with that. I mean, if you go to Liverpool, I'm probably sure they won't even tell you who their director is. That is because they have not been made to think about that. They are focusing on the football. But for us, we are like so into all that because everything is a mess at Arsenal. But you've mentioned the 45 million. And my first question was, Callum, would you start Thomas Partey against Newcastle on Monday?
Yes. 100%. Yes, he's fit. He's ready. Do you know what I mean? He looked good when he came on. You know what I mean? So play him. He's fit.
Zoom?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Please start him. If he doesn't start him, then that's another worrying sign. Maybe he's not as match fit as we'd like, but I really hope he starts because we need that impact. You saw what happened when we played that 0-0 in the 90 minutes in the FA Cup against Newcastle, and we have more of the same of that. Especially without, maybe Martinelli's back, Kieran Tierney is back. I think he should be back, and Thomas Partey is back. Gabriel is back as well to fill in for Pablo Mari. So, for sure, Thomas Partey comes in, and you saw as soon as Thomas Partey came in, Eze wasn't having any more fun. Yeah. Zaha wasn't having any more fun. None of their midfielders were having any more fun. They were being knocked out actually. So Thomas Partey come in. Yeah, he did. So no. Let's not waste any more time. This guy is forget Premier League proven. That's not even a thing. This guy is Champions League proven. This guy is played in versus Messi and them. I don't care. He's ready. We go.
Okay, Callum. James asks thoughts on no backup number 10.
Yeah. Well, I think we need to buy one. That someone just to gun behind, just give Smith Rowe a bit of breathing, He's not all the that whole pressure's on his back, And sometimes as a young player, I could, if your mindset's not strong, then that could make you crumble, especially in high pressure situations or when we just need to rely on him to create something. It's hard. Like in the Crystal Palace game, we relied on him to create something, and he's only young and he was quiet most of the game. So yeah, I'll buy it back up 100%.
So whom would you buy backup, or would you buy someone and then have Smith Rowe as backup?
I'll buy a backup like Isco or even the guy at Norwich. Get him and rotate him. Let him learn of someone a bit more seasoned that's had more Premier League experience. Do you know what I mean? So yeah,
So
I actually think we shouldn't buy a number 10 because 10s are being phased out of the modern game. And remember, we always talk about Arteta and his preferred formation. 4-2-3-1 is his second formation. 4-3-3 is his main formation. I think Isco would have been a great signing 3 years ago. And I don't think we should make any more signings like that, Callum. Players who would have been great signings a few years ago. He's also never actually been productive. And like we said, we need more productivity from midfield, not just in created chances, but also like goals and assists. Emi Buendia should be our priority, in my opinion, because one, I actually mentioned it to the Premier League just the other day. One, he's the right age profile. He's 24, right? He comes into a team full of youngsters with Kieran Tierney, Saka, Martinelli, you know what I mean? Emil Smith-Rowe. And then he also comes into a team where he can have a direct impact in our midfield, because if he comes in, he should be benching Granit Xhaka and Dani Ceballos. He's not just a number 10. He's not just a number 8. He is a functional number 8. He's going to be a great midfield partner for Thomas Partey, for example. Apparently, he is the truest tackler in England right now across the leagues. He's better than Didi. He's better than Kante. I can get you those stats, by the way. They're on The Athletic as well. I found them. He's a much better tackler. He's a much better progressive passer than any of our players. So imagine him adding that zip, that tenacity, that creativity as well. The thing is, what if you bring him in as a number 8? You can play him with a base, maybe Granit Xhaka as the deepest lying midfielder, and in front of him are Thomas Partey and Buendia. But then, even if you want to play Emil Smith-Rowe, just so that you can have a double pivot in attack, then you can play the 4-2-3-1. And Thomas Partey could sit a bit deeper, and he can act as the link between the attack and midfield. So he just adds so much versatility in the way that Arteta could set up. I think Buendia needs to be our priority signing, and I think the Crystal Palace game just completely highlighted that. I mean, I don't think we need any more reason to look for a player like him.
James, why not sentiment? Your questions have been answered perfectly. And then my next question to whom was going to be, who would you start alongside Partey on Monday?
Who would I start alongside Partey on Monday? I think that would be Mohamed Elneny.
Callum?
Jesus.
Okay. Can I state why? Can I state why, Callum, just a sec?
Yeah.
I think Mohamed Elneny is one of those players. I don't know if you guys have ever played with some of these players, and I'm sure you guys played football at some point. But there's some types of players, and it's very strange, and it's also very hard to explain. They're just as good as their partners and the people around them. And I think the game versus United, Mohamed Elneny was sublime, and that's because of his partner. Mohamed Elneny is one of those players. He plays well as the people around him. He's not going to take the headlines. So I think if he starts with Partey, he's going to do well enough.
Welcome to Arsenal, the team that has players that perform well and others are performing well. The team that also has confidence players, the likes of Pep and Willian. No, give him time. He's a confidence player. I mean, we'll never win a league with all these players who are waiting for others to play well so that they can play well. Callum, Willock for you?
Get rid of that trash player.
Yeah.
He is trash, man.
Who would you start there then? Because you also don't like Shaq.
Xhaka? Oh,
you
who
also
I'd put
don't
next
like
to Partey?
Yeah.
I'll put Ceballos, you know. I don't really like Ceballos, but maybe with Partey there, he could play a bit deeper, and Ceballos will have a bit of more of the pitch to roam around. Do you know what I mean? When he's up in the final third, you know, when he's a bit forward, he looks a bit player because he can play them balls over the top. You know, he can switch the play pretty well.
Yeah.
He might not go as missing as much because if we have Smith-Rowe as well, do you know what I mean? And Partey could be just that anchor, you know, just to transition the ball from the defense to the midfield. I think Ceballos will do well, and especially against a Newcastle side where you know what I mean? The midfield, if we're partying there, and I think we'll win most of the midfield duels, you know. So, I'll put Ceballos in there. I think next up.
Okay, and then the last two most important questions. The first one is about Aubameyang. Obviously, Zuhumi couldn't finish without talking Aubameyang. I put a poll out yesterday, and there have been 750 votes for that. The question was, would you drop Aubameyang in the upcoming games? And yes, they voted yes, 70%. So to drop Aubameyang for the next year.
I wouldn't. If the reason I say I wouldn't is dependent on the rest of the team selection. For example, if Emil Smith-Rowe is playing, Partey, Ceballos or Neni, Gabriel Martinelli, and Kieran Tierney, if all those players are playing, and Bukayo Saka on the right wing, then Aubameyang is going to get bare chances, in my opinion. So I don't think we'll need him to be. I don't think we'll need Lacazette as much to be the focal point, because we'll have players who can create chances for him and be dangerous in and around the box, not just wait for Lacazette to bring them in. But I understand why you would, because previously he's not been effective. He's been quite peripheral in those games where he played up front. But at the same time, he didn't have the right setup under him to play him up top. Because how many times in his Arsenal career do you remember Aubameyang being put through on goal? Less than 10, in my opinion. So because of that, I think if we have the right players, if Thomas Partey starts like we're all predicting and like we're all hoping for, Bukayo Saka, Martinelli, Emil Smith-Rowe, Kieran Tierney, then Aubameyang starts up front. If he doesn't, if some of those players are missing, even one of those players is missing, then Lacazette up top for me.
Callum, do you agree with the 70% or with the 30%?
I think he should be dropped, because I think Lacazette deserves to play. Do you know what I mean? How well he's played this season, the goals he got for us, he deserves to play. Aubameyang hasn't done his job. His job is to score. He don't give us anything else if he don't score. Lacazette can hold the ball up. He's good at link-ups. You know what I mean? Link-up play. Aubameyang is not good that good at link-up play. The only way he's good is if you play him over the top and he can maybe cross the ball in, or he's on the end of a pass and he can maybe try one-on-one with the goalkeeper or one-on-one with the defender. Do you know what I mean? But when he don't get them chances, he's quiet. So I think Lacazette, I'll play Lacazette up top. And if Martinelli's not fit, I'll play Aubameyang on the left. But if Martinelli's fit, play Martinelli on the left, Lacazette up top, Saka on the right. That's what I'll play, personally.
Why not sentimental? Why not sentimental? I'll come to your question last. The next one, I also put a poll for Zuhum. Thank you for the support, by the way. This one got 1.7k votes, and it was about the centre backs. Who would you start as the centre back pairing against in the next few games? So I had 5 options. The first one, Holding or Mari. The second one, Holding or Luis. The third one, Holding or Gabriel. The fourth one, Luis or Gabriel. The fifth one, Luis and Pablo Mari. You know, the one I didn't include Mari and Gabriel, and so many comments were there asking about where is Mari and Gabriel. We should play Mari and Gabriel. I don't care about whether they're both left-footed. Bring the two lefties, I don't care. For me, I'd go for Mari and Gabriel, but I expect probably Rob. So many different comments. So before I tell you the results, who would you start in the upcoming games?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm helped by the fact that I have some insider information about Pablo Mari's fitness, just like the rest of us. So I know he's not available, so that limits it down to Gabriel, Holding, and David Luiz. That pairing, one of those, two of those 3. So for me, it has to be Gabriel, Holding. No way I want to see David Luiz slowing things down. I mean, he wanted to rip whatever hair I had left out. But then I thought to myself, and I was like, David Luiz, you'd rather rip his hair out. Piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Holding, Gabriel, I think that's the most solid for now.
How about you, Callum? Clearly does not like Luiz's hair and stuff.
I'll play Gabriel and Luiz, because I don't think Newcastle will be as good defensively as Crystal Palace was, and I think there'll be space in behind for the likes of Saka and either if Aubameyang plays and Martinelli to get in behind, and do you know what I mean? So I think, and I don't trust Holding. I know he's gonna make one of them mistakes, and he's gonna mess us up, and it's gonna be a problem, and I'm gonna be fuming. Do you know what I mean? So I prefer David Luiz, which I don't think he's done too badly. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mm.
when I've seen him play, fair enough, he was quite slow the last game, and he was a bit. But it was his first game back in a while. I'm pretty sure, wasn't it? A few games.
Yeah, it was.
So I don't blame him, and he played well ever since. He's one of the only leaders in our team. The only player I see speaking or shouting at certain players getting position, and so we need that. So I prefer and him to teach Gabriel as well with his experience. You know what I mean? I prefer because they're both Brazilian, they can speak the lingo. Do you know what I mean? It might be much easier for Gabriel. So I prefer Luis.
So Zoom, if Arsenal paid the 1 million, would you start Mari instead of Gabriel?
What's going on with that 1 million stuff, by the way?
I had there are a couple of bonuses that depending on how many games someone plays. So I think according to the clause on the contract was that if he plays a certain number of games before a certain time, we have to pay an extra amount of money. So I think until the end of January or something, if he plays this January, we have to add that extra money. And for Arsenal, we don't have that extra 1 million. So they could actually be tempted to leave him out until next. 1 million?
That's a lot of money, bro.
Right? That's a lot
That's
of
a lot
money
of money, bro.
Yeah,
bro.
We don't have that kind of money at Arsenal.
Yeah, but for Arsenal, come on. They've got over £200-300 million in their bank accounts, mate. You know what I mean? They've got peas.
Nah. I think all things considered, I think Gabriel and Rob Holding would be a solid partnership. But I mean, if David Luiz starts ahead of Rob Holding, I don't think I'm gonna throw a fit. I think we should still have more than enough to keep a clean sheet and slap up Newcastle. So, yeah, interesting bonus there. But I guess they exist all over the world now. So,
yeah, for me, Mustafi should start alongside Gabriel. Callum, Zuma has already given us his opinion on the likes of Buendia and Isco. What about you? Who would you prefer to sign between Bissouma, Buendia, and Isco?
Brent, I can't pronounce his bloody name. Buendia.
Buendia.
Yeah, I would have
with an N.
Long. Whatever his bloody name is, I want him. You know what I mean? I saw bits of him when he was in the Premier League last year. I wasn't focused. I watched mainly strictly, especially last year. I didn't watch strictly Arsenal. It's only this year I started watching other teams, properly. Yeah. And I watched clips, YouTube scouting, as they say. And he looks class. He reminds me a bit of like Santi Cazorla type of player.
Exactly.
He's very he's got very good agility, isn't it? When he can go, he's really quick. So he's probably the best replacement we're ever gonna get for someone he's not as good as Santi. I think he's got a long way to go because Santi was a genius. You know what I mean? But I think honestly he'll be up there, and he'll be perfect for our team.
I always remember this one game where Cazorla played, not the usual ones where he had the free kick against Hull in the final or anything like that. It was West Ham away, Upton Park, their old stadium, and he shot the ball from outside the box with his left foot, and I thought he was a right foot at that time. Good memories. It was such a good play. And then
my best memory of Santi Cazorla is Laura Koscielny telling him, use your other leg. Use your other leg.
Oh yeah, that
corner. He's at the corner. He just changed it, and he just whips in a great cross. Anyway, brilliant.
Yeah. So Michelle here says so. Zoom's definitely a David Luiz fan. Clearly not. Newcastle will be 10 man behind the ball. Lewis says not even Fox on the box. Sorry for the poor analogy and late reply. No problem. Steven says, loan adding Nketiah, keeping Balogun playing. So the last comment from sentiment is about Partey. He says Partey as a DM because of his size and stature is a waste of his talents when he offers so much more. It is exactly like United playing Pogba as a defensive midfielder. So that's the last thing you're going to talk about. So he says he should be played further forward.
I think so, yeah. I think there's a lot of indication that shows there's a lot of signs that indicate, rather, that he'd be very good with a bit more freedom to express himself. Apparently, he had the 5th highest completed dribbles in La Liga last season as in the midfielders category. He's scored, I think, 10 in 24 games for Ghana. He's even played as a number 10 for Ghana. And Ghana is they're no small team in Africa. They're one of the biggest national teams in Africa. And So there's quality there. And you can imagine some holding midfielder from La Liga coming into Ghana and is being told play up top or play as a number 10 or as a second striker. I think he definitely has a lot to offer. But if we, for example, had a midfield of him, Buendia, and Emil Smith Rowe, I think he'd be given the responsibility of holding it down. But that's the beauty of having someone so versatile, is that you put him as a defensive midfielder, you give him instructions to stay back and hold it down, and he does it seamlessly. You put him in a more attacking role, and it doesn't affect the way we attack, and that's what we need. We just need players who can slot in different positions and carry out those instructions properly. But yeah, man, I think for sure I don't want to see Partey as our furthest midfielder, defensive midfielder. I think he should be somewhere between a box-to-box to central midfielder rather than just a holding one.
Callum?
Yeah, I think Partey is like a box-to-box midfielder. Truly, I think. But I think he's so intelligent and so good that he can play in multiple positions in the midfield. He could probably play all the positions in the midfield by himself. Do you know what I mean? He could be a deep line midfielder. He could play in a number 10, like you said. He can, you know what I mean? He could be the normal centre midfield. He could be anything. So that's good to have. And I think if, like I said, with the types of Elneny next to him, I think he will look so much better because Partey, honestly, he takes a lot of stress off the midfield partner, in my opinion, and off the defence because of his work rate and the way he gets across and gets around the pitch. Because he's quite fast. I think it does. It takes a lot of strain off them players. So
I think it's really impressive how he gets across. It's a very good point you raised there, Callum. He never looks. When I'm watching, at least, I'll speak on it from a personal point of view. When I look at it, I see a midfielder from the opposing side running, with intent. Partey is like jogging towards it because of his size and his stature. He doesn't look like he's breaking stride, and he still manages to get the ball from some of the most technical players. I mean, remember Bruno Fernandes was subbed off, and this guy is the first ever player to win 4 Player of the Month awards.
He's won it again this month, right?
In 1 year. Yeah, in 1 year. Dennis Bergkamp only ever won it four times in his whole Arsenal career. Thierry Henry 4 times in his whole Arsenal career. So that's how good Thomas Partey and Elneny were, that they completely locked out Bruno, Paul Pogba, Rashford, Mason Greenwood, and them.
He had Pogba in his pocket that game.
Yeah, so I think Thomas Partey, that's so impressive. He just doesn't look like he's ever worried about whoever's coming at him. He just knows he's most likely going to get the ball.
Yeah, also you touched on the formation thing of number 10s going out of favor, and I've heard also about Partey playing up front. The formations change after some time. I remember back in the day when you started watching football and there was that 4-4-2 where 4-4-2 was a thing when you even used to play like PES and FIFA 205 and 206. Like you'd have Adriano and Ronaldo up front for Brazil. Those good old days. These days, we can't do that. As much as I want Aubameyang and Lacazette to be tried out as a front too, I don't think we'll see it anytime soon. And thanks for the questions in the chat. And for Zoom and Callum, and I never thought Zoom and Callum would be that perfect team. I don't know. We'll have to have some negotiations. I think we'll have to negotiate to have these guys on every Friday like Arsenal. Who would I get from Arsenal to do these negotiations? Probably no one, because there's no one who can do it well. So thank you again for coming on, guys. So where can they follow you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter and IG. Simple, just the way I've written it down on the tag. You can see at Zoom Omar. You could also follow me on my podcast, the Nearly Footballers podcast. We post on Mondays between 3 p.m. That would be 12 p.m. UK time. It's essentially a podcast full of people who nearly made it, Nearly Footballers podcast. So there's a United fan in there as well. There's a fellow Arsenal fan in there as well. It's bants, but at the same time, we try and look at it from a technical point of view, from what's happening on the pitch, especially as guys who played football at a decent level. So yeah, you can follow me at Nearly Footballers podcast at Zoom Omar on IG and on Twitter.
Maybe you should get William to be part of that podcast of Nearly Footballers. Nemuel says here, are Chelsea fans allowed? You are, only if you promise to take William back.
And David Luiz.
And David Luiz, and Gallas, and whoever else who came from that team. Callum, where can they follow you on IG?
IG is Callum Kushney, KUSNNY, but follow the Halves and G show. The Halves _G _show. Halves G show on YouTube as well.
And the Grahams and the Harveys will also be back probably next week. And we covered literally everything. We covered the game yesterday, Holding's new contract, Balogun, Nketiah, the likes of Mustafi staying, the likes of Callum was not happy with that. And Tierney missing Tierney yesterday. Thank you for all the comments, and thank you to Zoom and to Callum for coming on. And keep staying safe, and I'll catch up with you guys later. Blessed weekend.